So officially, good afternoon and welcome to the guided tour of the Brilliant Minds Online Academy. You might imagine that I've been looking forward to this for quite a long time. We first had the idea back in January, and at the time that I conceived it, the world was a slightly different place. But one thing I know for sure is if we hadn't been in lockdown for 2 months, I would not have been ready to show you today what I'm going to show you, because I have spent most of the last 6 weeks with my head down working on this, ably assisted by a whole team of people. So yeah, it's really exciting to have come to this point where I do actually have something to show everybody. And even more exciting that I've already had some people enrolled in some of the courses, even though we only launched on Monday. So I'm very pleased about that. So I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see what I'm doing. Recognize this as being the homepage of Brilliant Minds website, if you have been here before. So perhaps when you went to have a look at the Academy earlier in the week, you followed a link out of an email. But in case you're wondering, how do I get back there? You simply go to the homepage of the Brilliant Minds website. And as you scroll down and get to all the different things that we do, you'll see there's a new box here, the Online Academy. And so that takes you back to the homepage of the Online Academy. So one of the things to be aware of is that it's kind of a members site. So you need to be logged into the site to get access to more than just the sales pages. And it also means that if you get to a point where you want to be enrolled in more than one of the programs, then you don't need 2 separate logins. So you have a login to the Academy and then you get enrolled in different programs. So on this one, I'm not logged in yet, so I'll just show you how easy that is. So if you are already logged in, obviously the system remembers. But if you're not, then you can go in here and register to get an account and create your own username and email. And then if you decide to enroll for one of the programs, the system already knows who you are. If you haven't registered, then at the point that you enroll in a program, the system will ask you who you are and register you as a user. So let's get logged in. So because it's me and because I'm an admin to the site, you'll see I've got this little enrolled signal on everything. But for anybody else, it'll just show that on anything where you are actually enrolled in the program. So let's just have a look at some of these programs. So this first one here, Your Brilliant Mind, this is a great program for anybody who's new to Brilliant Minds or is new to NLP. And it's a series of 8 videos, and they're part of a sequence where I'm going through the NLP language and communication model. And so you get a little chunk of it, one per day for a week. So once you've enrolled, you get a video to watch. And then there are a couple of questions just to help you sort of test that you've taken it all in. And then there's usually a question to help you figure out how is this relevant to you in your own situation. So we recommend this program for people who haven't worked with us before, because you get the sound of my voice for 15 minutes a day, and that will tell you whether or not you want to work with me. And also, if you're new to NLP, it's a good introduction to the whole subject. It's a piece of NLP that I include in nearly every workshop that I do if I'm working with beginners. So let me show you what that's like when we click on the read more and go in and have a look. So if you're not enrolled in the program, then in this area here, it will tell you the price. So let me show you what that looks like. So this is where I'm not actually enrolled as me. I'm enrolled on a different email address. So if I go into a program here, then you'll see that what comes up is a price. And if I click here to take the course, it will take me through to a payment page. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. So once you're enrolled, then you get the little box that says start the program. And you wait for a moment. And so I really like this platform because it's a really nice uncluttered view. So down the left-hand side, you get a list of the modules in the program, and then the rest of the screen is the stuff that you're reading and learning from. And so the videos play in the screen, so you don't have to kind of go out somewhere else to find them. They're all fully embedded. And the way that this particular program works is that because we set it up so that you just get one module a day, you can't actually get into the later modules until the day after you've watched the first one. So it does have a sort of timed release on the program. And we did this because, well, I did this because I wanted people to have a little piece of information and then to think about it, and rather than sort of racing through the whole lot, to take it in bite-sized chunks so that they could take it in and really think about the relevance of each stage in the process. It also means that people get the opportunity over a period of time to evaluate whether they like this style of training. So I'm seeing this very much as a sort of as a taster event, as well as standing up as a program in its own right. Okay, anything else you want to ask me about that? Would you like to see a little bit of one of the videos?
Yes, definitely.
The first one is just sort of overview stuff. So if we go into module 2. So I'm going to start in the top left of the diagram with the information coming in from the outside world and into your senses. Now on the diagram, that's represented sort of at eye level on the profile. And I should say everything to the right of the profile in the diagram represents what's going on inside your head, and everything to the left of the profile represents what's going on in the outside world. So as information comes in from the outside, on the diagram it looks as if it's coming in at eye level, but that does represent all of your senses. So the function of your senses is to translate external information into neurological impulses so that your brain can make sense of them. So for example, your eyes transform different wavelengths of light into different kinds of neural signals so that your brain then creates a pattern of information on the visual cortex at the back of your brain. You wanted to know that, didn't you? That's probably enough of that, isn't it? So you can see the kind of level of detail that I'm going into in these videos. One of the things that I imagined I would do with this, and it's already starting to happen, is that we would use it as an introduction when we do corporate training programs. So there's one client that I was talking to. It was actually my last meeting before we went into lockdown, and we were talking about doing an event for his leadership team, which has had to be put off. But we talked a couple of weeks ago about what could we do while we wait to be allowed to gather together en masse. And one of the things that I suggested was that we enroll all of his people in this program so that they can start to get a little taste of some of the things that we can do. And as once they watch this, then we would have a session online and talk about some of the implications of what they've learned for the reasons why we were going to do the leadership event in the first place. So I think that having this sort of platform is very flexible, and I think it can be useful in lots of different ways. Okay, so if we move on.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So if we move on and have a look at some of the other programs, the Use Your NLP program is probably the sort of the biggest thing that's in here at the moment. And this is something that I first designed a few years ago, and we hadn't been promoting it for a while, but there were still people sort of joined in and using it quietly in the background. And this came out of some conversations that I had with people who'd done NLP practitioner, master practitioner, and indeed trainers training with me. And we were talking about when you go through your practitioner training, quite often there are certain things that stand out. You have a great experience with a certain technique, or it's another one that you find it really easy to use, or you coach somebody else with it and you got a great result. And so we always end up with a few sort of favorite techniques that we're very confident to keep coming back to. And yet there is such a wealth of material and information and great tools in a practitioner training, and of course in a master practitioner training as well, that sometimes I kind of felt that people didn't always get all the benefit that they could. And it's a big investment of time and money to do NLP practitioner training. So this was one of the ways that I was thinking we could help people to really sort of harvest all the value in the training that they'd already taken. And so Use Your NLP came about. And we do this at 3 different levels. So there's a practitioner level, there's master practitioner level, and then there's also trainers level. And at the moment, they all cover the same material, but they do it in a slightly different way. So at practitioner level, I work on the basis that you're going to be using NLP for yourself. And so everything that's in the practitioner level is about the way that you use NLP in your daily life and work, just for your own results. And then the master practitioner level contains all of that, but it also looks at, for each technique, how do you use it as a coach? So how do you use it with somebody else? So whereas at practitioner level, I'll give you the keys to making the technique work for yourself, at master practitioner level, you also get the keys to making it work in coaching, which will usually be slightly different. And also at master practitioner level, we include variations and we include more sophisticated practice than we give at practitioner level. And then for the trainers level of this, and this really is aimed at people who are already certified trainers of NLP, you get the information about how to teach each of the techniques and also how to demonstrate them. And for people who've signed up at this level, I also give them permission to use my material in their own classes. So one of the features of this, if I let's perhaps go into the master practitioner program, one of the features of this is that for each of the patterns that are featured is you get what I call a reference copy. So you get the pattern on one page. So if we look down here, and you get this on all of the programs, you get an overview of it, just sort of what's included and why would you want to do it, but then you also get what's in the contents here. So we've got all the different techniques, and these are all practitioner level techniques, but we're looking at them through a master practitioner lens, if you like. So this is master practitioner level, Use Your NLP. And so I've just picked out the parts integration module just to show you what you get. And the structure is very similar for each module. So you get an overview, what is this pattern, what does it do? Then you get, as I said, you get the pattern sort of on one page, and you can download that as well, so that some people like to have hard copy of things, don't they? So this is what it looks like on one page, and then there's a downloadable PDF to get that. Then we get the keys to making this pattern work for you. And as I said, at practitioner level, first of all, you get this is how to make it work when you're doing it for yourself. But at master practitioner level, you see down here on the left, you also get the keys to making it work in coaching. And with every module, you get a video demonstration of the parts integration. Now, most of these videos were made quite a long time ago. When I first had the idea for this program, I realized that I wanted to have some videos. And so I did a couple of days for existing clients, and we called them baggage handling days. And I said to people, just bring me your issues and we'll work on them. And we did 2 days like this. And people came out and I had no idea what they wanted to work on. And we didn't have any preconceived ideas about which patterns we would use. So in some cases, we ended up doing the same pattern more than once. And some of the patterns I hoped I'd get to demonstrate didn't lend themselves to what actually happened on the day. So some of them we made in a studio later on, but they were still with real issues. This particular one, I do like. This is Juliet. She's my best friend, and we've known each other for a very long time. And I really like this demonstration because what you see in this first video is a really nice, clean demonstration of the parts integration, even if I do say it myself. But also, it took us a long time to get there. And so for those who like the background, I also included the section where we were just exploring the problem. And you can see we had a lot of fun with that. And then there's even another video where we started talking about the outcome. So I've included quite a lot of material here as background for people who like a bit more. But if you just want to see what the pattern looks like, you can just watch this one video and then you're done with it. So let me just check. I know I've got some of you on the call who are NLPers. Has anybody not done any NLP?
I dabbled with it.
Oh, right. Okay.
30 years ago, as a young manager, and, experimented with different aspects and one or two other techniques. So I'm familiar with the concept.
So when you say you dabbled, did you actually go through a practitioner program, or was it sort of more ad hoc than that?
No, my manager at the time was a practitioner, and she was coaching me fairly actively. I was a fast developing young manager. She thought I was worth investing the time in, so that was very kind of her.
Excellent. Yeah. So some of these things might be familiar to you. Yeah. But the intention of the Use Your NLP program is, as it says in the title, is that you already know some NLP, so this is to encourage you to use it more and maybe to use some different elements than the ones that have been your favourites over the years. There is something else that it might be worth me telling you about this program, is that we offer it in two formats, because there are 12 modules to it, which is quite a lot for anybody to work through. So it's possible to get it on a monthly subscription, so that you just get one module at a time, which is quite good if you're the kind of person who can't resist reading ahead. So if you want to really focus yourself on one thing at a time, then that might be a good way to do it. Alternatively, you can just go straight in and get all 12 modules all in one go, so that you can work through them in whatever order you want. So on the home page, you actually need to click on the load more button and then you'll get the monthly subscription options. But also on the page for each of these, there is a link to do the equivalent by a monthly subscription if you want to. Okay, so let's move on to the next piece. So the other thing I wanted to show you was these two sections, NLP Now and NLP in Action. These are from my archives. And when I was thinking about doing the launch, I was thinking, are there some other pieces that we could include in this that would be interesting? And back in January of 2010, so over 10 years ago now, I got in touch with a whole load of the top trainers in NLP and asked if they would be willing to record an interview. And I was really truly delighted that most of them said yes. And I just asked them about how they got started with NLP and what were their favorite techniques and what were they currently doing. And so as I was trawling through it, I thought, well, it's 10 years old now. So out of curiosity, I started listening to some of them again. And, I was really amazed at how relevant a lot of this thinking still is. Because 10 years ago, the world was in a bit of upheaval because of the financial crisis. And now here we are with the pandemic uprooting everybody's usual habits and ways of life. And so, we were talking about, how you deal with uncertainty and how you manage yourself in the face of stress and all those sorts of things. So there's a lot of really good stuff in there. So I thought, okay, I'm going to dig this lot out and make it available again. And so if I show you this, you'll get an idea of the people who are included in it. Those of you who are NLPers, then you'll recognise some of these names. So Robert Dilts, John Overdurf, Sue Knight, Shelley Rose Charvet, Jean Early, Jeremy Lazarus, who's a UK-based trainer, Barney Wee, great friend of mine, is based in Singapore, probably the leading NLP trainer in Asia. Christina Hall, who worked very closely with Richard Bandler in the early days. Karen Moxon, who's not actually an NLP trainer, she's remarried. She's Karen Falconer now. She's the chief executive of the Association for NLP in the UK, and we had a really great chat about professional standards and so on. And then Michael Carroll, who is also a UK-based trainer. Yeah, so it's a really sort of wide range of different people who were kind enough to let me interview them, and some very different perspectives on the subject and on what they were doing with it back in 2010. And then if we go back to the page of programs, the second Telesummit, which I did a year later, and kind of been flushed with enthusiasm from having done the first one, I then started thinking about what are all the different places where people apply NLP. So we did the NLP in Action Telesummit, and some of the same people contributed, but I also got some different people involved in this, and we looked at lots of different applications of NLP. And they're pretty wide ranging. So you get the things that you might expect. So we did NLP and psychotherapy and NLP and hypnosis and so on. But we've also got NLP in motor racing, and we've got NLP in Shakespeare. We've got NLP for kids, and so just a whole range of different applications. So again, you can see a list there of who was involved in it. If I show you what that looks like in the system, then this is Sue Knight's contribution. So we've got just kind of overview of what's included here, and Sue's best known for her book, I think, NLP at Work, and so she was talking about that, but she was also really interested at that time, and I think probably still is, in what really works in one-on-one coaching, more in a kind of business context, where you're probably under pressure to deliver results quite rapidly. So you can't see this because I've got the gallery here, but you can download. So if you want to stick something on your iPod and listen to it while you're walking or running or something, you can do that. There's also a transcript of every interview. And then there's also this thing that we call the brilliant bits, which is where you just get a digest of all the little gems. So somebody went through and did all this for me, so that once you've listened to it, if you don't want to necessarily go back and listen to it all over again, for those of you that like to cut to the chase, and there's all the little gems there, just all on a couple of sheets. So that's what the Telesummits are all about. The next one I wanted to show you is the blueprint for a brilliant team. Now, this one, I'm working up to doing this as a sort of group activity. At the moment, it's available for individuals. So the idea of this is to take stock and become the leader that your team needs right now. Because like most areas in life, human beings are creatures of habit. And what tends to happen is that you take over a team or you recruit a team and you get into ways of working with them, which probably are effective in the beginning and after a little bit of refinement. And it's very tempting just to carry on doing the same things all the time. So the blueprint for a brilliant team is about revisiting your leadership activities, paying attention to your team in a slightly different way, and emerging at the end of, well, it can be a 6-week process or it can be a 12-week process, depending on just how much time you want to give to it. So emerging at the end of that period of time, having achieved something important, but also with a different kind of insight into your team, and the intention then to be an even better leader than you currently are. So this is split into 7 modules, because there's a before you begin module, and then for each module I've also put in some skill building sections. So each of the modules tells you, here are some things to do this week. So in the before you begin module, this is obviously preparing the ground. So we have a number of things to do. So there's something about setting goals for the challenge. There's identifying your performance measures relating to those goals. There's a team questionnaire, which is about what does your team do, what are the things that you're measured on, and so on. And then the next one is about preparing your team, because I always think if you're going to do something like this, it's probably a good idea to tell your team that you're involved in doing some kind of learning program, and that you might be experimenting with some different ways to do things. So, for example, you might, during the course that you're doing this, you might decide that you're going to run your team meetings in a different way, or you might start doing the one-to-ones in a different way. And I would always think it's good policy to tell people that something different might be coming up. Otherwise, managers do sometimes run the risk that somebody's going to roll their eyes and say, "Oh, have you been on a course?" which is something that most of us would really want to avoid, I think. So for each module, there's a checklist of things to do and some information about how to approach it, and some thoughts about this is the way to consider maybe changing what you're doing or starting to do something completely different. So this program is set up at the moment so that you could do this as an individual. So you don't have to have anybody else involved in it. You could just say, right, I'm interested in doing this. I'm going to pick it up and do it for my personal benefit. What I am thinking is that it might be quite a lot of fun to have a lot of people get enrolled all at the same time. And then we could make it more interactive. So I could do question and answer sessions at the end of the week, or just do something so that people could talk to other people going through the process. And I think that might kind of add another level of value. So I don't know if you've got any opinions on that. I'm always interested to hear what people think. Are any of you involved in leadership development?
I'm in most of the things that I do.
Right. Yeah. So do you think this would be something that might be quite fun to do with other people doing it alongside you?
I do. I see that the challenge from my point of view will be coordinating with other people at sensible times of the day. My diary tends to be packed, and I'd pick up the learning aspect of this at probably irregular intervals. I couldn't commit to a particular time on a particular day.
Right.
I think
that's a good point. Yes. So if we said, right, okay, so this is what you're working on this week, and let's all talk about it first thing on Monday morning, that might be an issue.
Yes, I might say, yeah, that's great, and then I get a call from the chief executive of a firm that I'm working with, and they've got a crisis, and I hate to disappoint people, so. I will find most of my learning out of choice is going to be solitary.
Yes. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. So maybe I'll leave it as it is for now, and think about how we might extend it. Okay. So those are the programs that I wanted to show you. And if I go back to main page. What questions do you have for me? Is there anything that you want to know about what you've seen, or anything that I haven't shown you that you'd like to know more about?
How long does the access last for?
Once you're enrolled, then it's unlimited.
Oh, cool.
So if you enroll in the Use Your NLP program, then yes, it's intended to be a 12-month program, but you get one module at a time. But when the 12 months are up, it's all yours to keep.
Okay.
So, yes.
Dianne?
Yeah.
Just wondering if and when the lockdown disappears and we can meet up again, if we were already enrolled on one of these programs, would there be a chance to also meet face-to-face at some point as part of the online program? Or
That's an interesting question. No, I hadn't thought about that. Yes, that's a great idea, Philippa. Thank you. Yeah, so that could potentially be something that we would do. Is if we've got people enrolled in a program, we could say, right, let's have a day together, or half a day together, or something. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Yeah. This one, the lab profile, is a kind of a blended learning thing. So I had people enrolled to do a 3-day lab profile program at the end of March, and we had to put it off for obvious reasons. So rather than just leave them all hanging until September or whenever we're allowed to get together again, I decided I would get them started with the material. So we've been doing 90-minute sessions on Zoom. in the morning, and then they come here and there's information to help them review what we've done, and also practical exercises to have a go at between sessions. And that's working quite nicely as a sort of blended program. So I think I may well do more of that, especially if we stay in lockdown for any length of time. What else have I got coming up? So the other one that's not built yet is the Leadership Through Everyday Conversation program. And I do have this in paper format, and it's been part of what we do for quite a few years. It's a self-study program which covers all of the linguistic elements of NLP practitioner training. And so my ambition is to put it all into this platform. I say ambition because it's going to be quite a big task. It's the section on the meta model, as I remember it, is the biggest one, and it's about 50 pages in the manual. So it's going to be quite a long job, but I would really like to get this online, because I think it would be so much more fun to do if all the exercises are automatically marked rather than you having to consult a sheet of answers. I think that's everything that's on the, we do the load. What comes up now is the yes, so we get the monthly subscription versions of Use Your NLP. Join the layout at that point.
Something I've learned is that I could, what you just mentioned was that you can, what was it? That you can download a materials section. That's really useful, because I do like to print out and scribble.
Yes.
Yes, that's really good, thank you.
Yeah, I like to make notes. I'm a very big sort of pen to paper person, and so while I like doing things virtually, I also like sometimes to have something I can actually write on. So it's quite important to me that we have that facility for other people as well.
Yes, I'm very glad. Thank you.
Good.
Cool.
Good. Anything else anybody would like to ask me?
There is one question. In this, because I know that you have the NLP side and the lab profile as well. In the demonstrations, do you have just NLP, or does some lab profile come in there as well?
In Use Your NLP, it is just NLP.
Okay.
Yeah. I am thinking about doing something similar with the lab profile. Now that we've started working with it online, that material lends itself quite well to online learning as opposed to being face to face. So yes, watch this space. There may well be something coming up in that regard. I think yes. Before we finish, and thank you all for coming and having a look around with me. The plans for the future with this are that we will continue to build new programs. I think I said earlier that one of my original plans was that this would be part of our offering when we do bespoke workshops in-house for companies, so that we could get people started with some online learning before they then come to a workshop. And I'm also thinking that for example, the NLP practitioner training, the point that people register and they're really enthusiastic, then there'll be something I can give them to work on straight away, so they're not kind of, just having to wait until the workshop starts. So I think we have a lot of potential here. And one of the other things that I am seriously wondering about is just how much of what we would normally do in the classroom we can do with a combination of virtual workshops using Zoom or some other technology, and also this kind of self-directed e-learning. I love getting in the same room with people. I think it's really important that we have that proper sort of human connection. But given the limitations that we're operating under at the moment, I always think that doing something is better than doing nothing. And we can't afford to sit around and wait till the world comes back to normal, because it probably is going to. It's going to evolve into something a bit different, I suspect. So I think that we have the potential now to do something different. And if you've got any thoughts, any suggestions, any requests, anything that you'd like to see, then please do get in touch and let me know, because I'm very much open to possibilities. So thank you all for joining me, and I hope that you'll get the chance to have a little roam around, and that you find something that's to your liking.
Thank you, Dianne.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's great.
Great. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.